set the team.
If you don't like me, why you follow me then? I never run from nothing, that's the line within. I make you uncomfortable cause you got pride in your sin. Pick a side out of the world, who you riding with then. They don't like my hat cause this say keep America great. In the right, they hate me too cause I'm exposing the face. Y'all be scared, but I'd rather cut the head off the snakes. Justifying wickedness gon' lead you right to the lake. Women got careers, but they should be taking care of the homes. And men supposed to provide, yeah, you gon' tell me I'm wrong. 2 parents working, but how about the life that you give? You send your babies to the system, then who raising your kids? And the Bible says that you supposed to show them the way. Is that why 17% of Gen Z is gay? Never mind though, cause y'all gon' hate whatever I say. And when something normalizing, you gon' think it's okay. Ay. So I pray, I just pray, cause y'all gon' hate whatever I say. All I can do is pray. All I can do is pray. Ooh, they pushing LGBT in the schools. Christians scared to push back, so they just sing the blues. It's a real effort to make all of our children confused. And it's only 2 genders, they make you think you can choose. It's all over social media and all over the news. Take Romans 13 out of context so you follow the rules. Really, they don't wanna fight back, they use that verse to excuse their shortcomings, and that's the reason that we always gon' lose. Wait. Hey, that ain't being Christ-like. He kept it 100, I don't know what y'all think Christ-like. Look what he told of repentant cities, and that was like, right? What's wrong with saying wrong is wrong and saying right's right? We supposed to show on the way, but everybody let emotions get in the way. Never mind though, cause y'all gon' hate whatever I say. You scared to call out sin, so you gon' say it's okay. Hey. So I pray, I just pray, but y'all gon' hate whatever I say. All I can do is pray.
They want you locked in your home without God and alone. Don't want you looking up Dr. Sebi and Robert Malone. The truth blocked on your phones. They call the shots from their throne. These politicians and these doctors, they are not in control. Jimmy,
uncover the face that the Lord created so it can be seen. Tired of the fake trending all over the place. We just want to be free. There's no fear with faith is praising till we're hiding underneath all the passive threats and trauma that came from this tyranny. We won't bow down to the golden cow and do as it pleases. We don't care what they say, it's God over the government. Won't have it any other way, it's God over the government. And we just don't understand how they put their faith in man. We don't care what they say, it's God over the government.
God over government, lies that they covering, innocent suffering. Won't let our freedom just crumble or disappear without a fight in the struggle. They want us so sick and don't want you recovering. Want you depressed and addicted, the pills that they giving. Not trusting decisions of these politicians. Right or left wing, it's not really that different. But Fauci in prison, they want you dependent on them. It's a sickness. Well, God is my witness, I don't need permission. They causing division through our television. They coming for children and all the traditions. So get ammunition, prepare for the war. The revolution is in store. I'm waiting for them at my door, removing our freedoms to force, of course. Judgment day is more important than court. I feel this deep in my bones in my core. I'm going hard till our freedom restored, or until they put me up in the floor.
We don't care what they say, it's God over the government. Won't have it any other way, it's God over the government. And we just don't understand how they put their faith in man. We don't care what they say, it's God over the government.
Hey, a patient that's cured is a customer loss. People still buy and let the Holocaust happen in front of their eyes while people just die. Stop domination, these laws. Hey, government wanna replace all the parents. We cannot let them go tear us apart. Whether this all is apparent or not, don't care if these Karens are caring or not. We're gonna be one nation, God under. If we not one nation under God, bringing the people together through music. Me and Jimmy never gonna stop. I ain't trusting no CNN, MSNBC, and no Fox. Hey, all get funded from the same people trying to keep us all in that box. Hey, I ain't doing this for money, I ain't doing this for no props. We gotta start holding politicians accountable in that swamp.
We don't care what they say, it's God over the government. Won't have it any other way, it's God over the government. And we just don't understand how they put their faith in man. We don't care what they say, it's God over the government. If we're not one nation under God, then we will be one nation going under. We won't get our freedom by comply. So parents, please protect your sons and daughters. We don't care what they say, it's God over the government. Won't have it any other way, it's God over the government. And we just don't understand how they put their faith in man. We don't care what they say, it's God over the government.
Hey, Bart.
What's happening, man? I'm trying to see my cam's working. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me yet?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. This was playing up too, just as I turned it on. Now what's this popping up? There is something funny happening here as well. It's not working as it usually would. Hey, Dino, how you going? Actually, I'm glad you're here, mate, because this computer's playing up and looks like Mike's having some problems too. And I was going to mention what happened last time when you were here. Something weird happened. Hold on, we'll see if we can get Mike back. But just as I've turned on the computer now, it was warning me all this spyware nonsense stuff that I really don't understand. I pushed resolve, so hopefully that's resolved it. Now, what was it that happened last time, Dino? It said, here's Mike. Yeah, you there, Mike?
I am here. I'm trying to figure out. This is the second time I go into my StreamYards. I'm going to have to try to figure this out when I come on here, that the audio is working. And for some reason, and I toyed around with it, as you saw, like when I first came in here.
Yeah.
I in for a minute and I left. I was trying to figure out, no matter what I did on my camera settings, why it wouldn't show the camera. And this is the second time that that's happened. So it's not a problem on your end. It's a problem on my end. I'm trying to figure out.
All right. Because there is something funny going on here. Dino's here. And last time, well, I think it was the last time I was live, Beers was on. And I happened to have the iPad right next to me. Hey, Kentucky.
Let's go.
But the weird thing that happened was,
if Dino's here, tell him I want him to jump on here for sure, because this one's he's gonna be interested in something I gotta say too.
Yeah, well, Dino understood more about what was happening. His Beers was talking and he was blue as usual. Then the next minute he wasn't blue, and you know how on the StreamYards the chat looks different. I could see on the iPad that it said that I had hidden Beers, yet he wasn't hidden. He was still here, but he'd gone from being blue to not blue. And I didn't know how that happened. I didn't touch it. Like, I hadn't even accidentally touched anything. I was sitting here.
You got it. Gotta love it, man. You really
See,
do.
there's Dino. Beers was demodded, but not by Malice, and I saw it happen. Now,
I mean, and right off the bat, Mal, that's something I'm going to include in it. That's why I said what I told you in private about what I wanted to happen later on um, with this particular episode, because I'm planning on attaching something and editing it, which is the email I got from Google. Because the episode that we did, it isn't necessarily, there's been some misunderstanding. It's not the episode that me and you did, and the bonus features episode that I did that got me banned. It was an additional bonus features I was going to do that was called Terrain. That was based on the same subject matter that me and you were talking about, which is weather modification and technology manipulation, that they're using the technology to manipulate the weather and ocean. Remember how we were talking about that?
yeah.
Well, this movie Terrain, there's 2 parts to it, and I uploaded it the way I normally do on my channel as a bonus features.
Yeah.
Well, I got a nice little message from Google, and it says, due to the subject matter of the video, it violates the World Health Organization and your local healthcare authorities' efforts into they're categorizing it as health misinformation. And I'm sitting here going, how is weather and weather manipulation health misinformation?
Now,
Well,
see, I tend to think, Mike, I think just because of other stuff that's happened to you in the past, I think you're like some sort of target for harassment by YouTube. That's what I tend to think, not knowing much about how things work.
it's honestly normally something cliche like a license issue is normally what happens. This particular incident, the reason why I'm going to show it is in the edited version of this later, is because of the fact that the movie Terrain is violating the World Health Organization's health efforts. Now, I find how does weather violate their health? And then I started thinking about it. Remember when Fauci and Biden started going on about green energy and how global warming is going to be the next huge crisis? Well, that means they're already originating plans to get behind this. They're dropping all the COVID restrictions. The next crisis that we're going
to... Sorry, Mike. Yeah. Now, Buster's not blue. Hold on. Let me just fix that.
You're good.
Keep going, mate.
You're good. The next crisis we're going to have, according to the World Health, is going to be global warming. It's going to be it's going to be environmental. And that's the reason why you're still hearing about, even in my country, you're hearing still, even though we have the Ukraine crisis going on, they're still pushing all this green energy going on, and they're still chirping on about it. Yeah. That's the reason why that one got censored. Normally when I get censored, Mal, like I tried to explain to you before, it's something trivial, like a license issue over music. Only for me, it's documentaries or something I included in it. And the third party or the person that originally got it, whether it be BBC, History Channel, CBS, is like, whoa, you utilize 5 minutes of our stuff. We're not down for that. So YouTube goes up. You've been bad, you've been bad, so we're gonna strike you or whatever. This is different. This is like, I'm like, how is this violating their health? You know what I mean? Their health thing. You get what I'm saying? So I found that intriguing. At any rate,
it does seem like there's a different set of rules for you. Like that initial thing of you couldn't go live without 100 viewers. I've never heard of that before.
I thought it was just something with StreamYards initially until I started talking to you about it. I just assumed it was because I'm so small and they're like, hey, you only got, at that particular time, only had like 57 subscribers. So I just assumed that it was something with YouTube and Streamlabs, like, or StreamYards, like whatever their standards were. You get what I'm saying? And I didn't think nothing of it.
Well, hold on. Before StreamYards, there was Streamlabs. Remember that? It was kind of complicated, Streamlabs. I didn't know how to use it, but Mama Mouse used to be able to. like we've got now. She could be on this side of the screen and have pictures rolling on the other.
And now, granted, the other thing is I created, and that was going to be the rest of this episode. I created a lot of.
Tater.
How's everybody doing that's in chat? Because I can't see the chat on my end, but
Tater's here.
you know, honestly, Mal, I created a lot of bad blood between people that I didn't necessarily have to go to the BLM. Like, you know, okay, so I wasn't physically in Philadelphia or the locations, but what they did is they would stream their events on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or whatever service it was. And I would go into like what we're doing right now, where they have chat rooms, and I would go into it and start shit. So I didn't necessarily have to go out of my way and do that to put a target on my back, but I chose to do that when I was involved in all that. Remember?
Yeah, well, gee, it seems you really got someone's attention, Mike, because you've had rules and stuff that didn't apply to other people. Because when I used to just go live on YouTube, just because I didn't know how to do Stream Labs, and it was before I'd heard of StreamYards.
Yeah.
Suddenly they made this rule where you couldn't go live from a mobile device without 1,000 subscribers, and it was a reaction to that Australian that shot up New Zealand that time. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he was broadcasting it, so suddenly they made it a rule. Unless you've got 1,000 subscribers, you couldn't just go live from a phone or something. You had to be at a desktop.
And this is crucial for us to understand, because and when we look at the situation with Ukraine and we look at the situation with Russia, right off the back, I want to say this. The situation in the Ukraine is not false. There is people dying on the ground. There is civilian casualties. There is bombings. This stuff is going on.
What, do people not believe that? I didn't know anyone.
There are people that saying that it's theatrics. Now, here's why. Because of propaganda that's being put out from both sides, whether it be from Russia or Ukraine. Now, granted, saying what I just said, I'm also not anti-Russia, because what if there is some truth? And Dino, I was having a conversation with Dino not too long ago, actually. He was in somebody's chat room. But listen, what if what Putin said about the chemical labs and the operations and all that was going on Ukraine on his borders, right? I looked at this from a different perspective. Say that was going on. Say there was a country attached to Australia, and say that country had 2 other countries running classified biological experiment labs on your border. You get what I'm saying? Now, the whole globe at this point has painted you as a villain. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not saying right for nothing. I'm saying he had no right to do what he did and the way that he did it. Do you get what I'm saying? He should be held condemned, and he's already done war crimes from what I've seen from footage as it is. And that's only been like less than 2 weeks. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now saying that further, hold on, let me finish. Saying that further, his country is now, they have effectively, this is where the rest of this episode is going to get kind of hairy. Yeah. And I even got a joint prepared for it. I'm even like, I wish I was on camera, because I'm actually rubbing the back of my bald head before I say that part.
I can hear you, mate. I'm just getting a drink. You there, Mark?
Yeah, I'm here. Now, the whole globe has effectively censored Russia. You have Netflix, you have all these companies, you have banks, you have all these other people pulling out their industries out of Russia. Now, this isn't just affecting the Putin. This is affecting the Russian citizens. They no longer have access to their bank accounts, to their credit card accounts, to any of their other accounts. You get what I'm saying? Putin himself is rumored to be going crazy on the inside. Kremlin insiders are saying he's starting to show signs of mental breakdown and paranoia, as well as he should, with what he's done. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So we have all of this stuff. Hold on one second. What is he saying? You know, all the...
Democrat.
Exactly, Buster. That's the other thing. And I just got done telling Dino this interesting fact about Ukraine. Law and Order, SVU, and all these other stuff that's been going on. They've done shows about it. Ukraine's primary business. Exactly, Dino. Tell Dino to jump on here. I've been meaning to talk to him in a minute. Like I said, I was just talking to him about.
I've got the link up. He can pop in anytime he likes.
Exactly. Their primary business was human trafficking. And I think that's why Soros and so many of these global elites have been jumping on. There was a bus just recently. I seen it. I don't know if it was on Sky News or if it was on another one. But a bus of over 30 children with two random guys driving it. And the reporter said, "What's going on? These are children that need to get out of Ukraine. Their parents are desperate to get them out. We're trying to get them out of here." Now, saying what I just said, being that this epic center for human trafficking, who knows how many of these kids are being shuttled out of there right now?
Really?
Do you get what I'm saying? Now, I'm not justifying what Russia did, and I'm not I think he should be held accountable, and he has committed war crimes, as I said earlier. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And the situation that's going on is very real. And I'm sure Dino knows. I'm sure Dino knows what I'm trying to say. Anyways, do you get what I'm saying? We need to be looking at all factors on this, because why is it that all the Democrats, Soros, all these global elites, all of them are so quick to pull out of Russia? See, I'm pro free speech. I'm against censorship.
Yep.
And this has given Putin an opportunity as well to tell his citizens whatever he wants to tell them. He is their primary source now for information.
Yeah.
So we are now, the whole globe is effectively condemning the whole Russia country, including their citizens, their children, and everybody else for the actions of somebody that Kremlin insiders are saying is showing signs of paranoia.
Well, see, I think that says something negative about the brain power of the people. I don't think the average. In fact, I remember this when it was B once said. Remember when Donald Trump came out and he said the China virus? It was B who said he's a bad guy for saying that. Now we have people beating up Asians in the street, and it's like that's not his fucking fault. Like that's stupid. I don't suddenly hate Russian people because their leader's a lunatic. Like it can't work like that.
Well, I mean, when you got a country like Ukraine, there's people from Russia that's there. I just watched a video of a Russian guy yelling at Russian troops, calling them idiots, saying, "I live here in Russia. What are you doing?" Russian troops right now, our children, are surrendering right now, left and right. They're being told by their mothers or not even by their mothers, they're being told by their country they're going to be held as heroes, that they're liberating. I looked at the Russian news station today to see if it was true what all the media is saying about the propaganda, and it is true. Propaganda on both sides, because if you look at it from the Russian news angle, they're saying they're liberating. I'm sorry to tell you, you can't take over a section of a country, hold them hostage, killing their citizens whenever they're leaving. And this is bloody footage that I've seen citizens holding, including children, with luggage. You get what I'm saying? You cannot say you're liberating that country. So there is, this is why I said I was rubbing the back of my head, because I'm also a Christian. So how do you look at this from a perspective of, how do you say that you got to hold the country accountable, but you don't want to affect the citizens either, because evidently the citizens don't know what's going on. That's why the Russian citizens are actually protesting against their own country and losing their lives in the process currently right now.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Heard me say I don't like China. That doesn't mean I think every Chinese person is a bad person. It means I think their country as a whole is dangerous. How many times have I said, I'd annihilate China? Unfortunately for the good people there, they've had too long to sort the shit out, and it's just not getting sorted out. So that's why I tend to worry about Russia
Mm-hmm.
is because of their friendliness with China. You know, I think.
Well, I mean, and let's face facts. That's not. It's not. I almost cursed there, and I'm trying not to curse. Is not false that China actually told Russia, "Do not invade Ukraine until after the Olympics." Now they violated that naturally and did it anyways. So
Yep.
now the latest report coming out of the CCP or China news agencies is saying we're watching Russia right now, trying to figure out if we should send troops in. Now, saying that yesterday or the day before, it came out saying that they did say they were going to send troops in to help out Russia. So this is going back to that agreement. And Dino was bringing this. I believe it was Dino bringing this up the other day, or I was bringing it up. One of us was bringing it up, but either way, about the agreement that was made between China and Russia just last year. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
Thank you, YKJ. YKG. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Tater salad. I love that name, tater salad. I really
Dude, it's a hairy subject, and I'm saying it for a reason because I want people to wake up and realize there is bad on all sides of the spectrum here.
Yeah.
I am very much, for the first time at church the other day, I had a difficult time because I was talking to my pastor and I said, for the very first time in my life, I will forever stand up for my flag. I will forever stand up for my neighbors. I will forever stand up for my fellow man. I will forever stand up for God. You know what I mean? But for right now, the way I see it is I have God to rely on, myself, my family, and my friends. You get what I'm saying? Because there's too much speculation going on right now. And I'm doing my best to try to cover it even from my blog and everything else. But it seems like every other day that you get caught up in something because it's just so much propaganda coming out.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
You drive yourself mad concentrating on it, you know.
Well, honestly, you do got to factor in everything. You got to factor in the chemical labs, the Fauci's labs that were going on in Ukraine. Yep. You got to factor in the human trafficking, like YKG was just bringing up. This is on the Ukraine side. They've been doing all kinds of stuff for a while now.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Now, granted, saying that Russia should be held accountable for what they did and what they're ongoing doing right now. You get what I'm saying? These are children, Mal. Some of these children are 13 looking, 14 that are surrendering. They have no clue what they're doing. The Ukrainians are letting them call their parents.
Good God.
And their parents are shocked that they're even there.
Isn't that unbelievable? And what's the latest, Mike? Because, again, I haven't been paying attention, but last I heard, the Ukraine was doing a very good job of fighting them back and keeping them out.
They are, from what I understand. If you're looking at all the mainstream news, it does look like they're doing a good job in certain areas, but they're also losing in certain areas. But see, this is where it gets complicated to me because I'm not that great at factoring in, because they're saying Russia sent so much of their arsenal in first, right? That Putin just sent so much in headstrong that he used up, and he's also losing a lot. I mean, hell, I just saw a video of Ukrainians driving off in a tank. That was left behind.
I saw that on. It might have been your post, actually. It must have been Insta. I saw it on was yesterday.
Yeah. So, I did post one like that. And that's what I'm saying. He's losing on the image scale as well. He was ranked, I think, as number 3 or 4 as like a potential world threat. This is going to set him back, they're saying, on that as well.
I just would have thought, and hopefully I'm wrong, I just would have thought over the days he would have eventually overwhelmed them. You know, if they were having success initially fighting them off, I would have thought, how long can that last?
You know, and that's the thing they're saying is some experts are saying that it could continue to go on for a while, and some experts are saying that it can't possibly last that long. He's been making agreements and breaking agreements like, we're going to do a ceasefire, then breaking it, which we can all factor in is going to happen anyways. You get what I'm saying? What I'm watching for is China, like you are, because with the Iraq and Iran situation that could financially back them as well. That's what I'm concerned about. If you start seeing more things like that going on, then it's going to prove to be an actual world war going on.
Initially, that's where I would have been just about certain we were heading. But
they want the whole world to say it's a world war right now. But if you really look at it, what has NATO really been saying, and what has the UN really been saying?
I have no idea.
They've been bickering about if they're going to send people in, if they're going to send ammunition in, how much they're going to send in, if they're going to allow jets to fly over, if they're going to allow no-fly zones, what they're going to do and what they can't do. You get what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah, we'll see.
That is a fact. What he just said. He's targeting chemical labs. That is what is being rumored. And I do say rumored for a very good reason, because this is wartime, and in wartime, there, like I just stated early on, there's propaganda on all sides. So it is being rumored that everything that is being targeted is an actual chemical lab location or some other type of clandestine operation that was going on.
Yep.
And he is targeting certain regions that he wants back for the Cold War. There's a guy on social media called the Crazy Russian Dad, and he lives in the U.S., and he's a comedian, and he normally does funny stuff.
I've heard you talk about this, yeah.
This guy got real serious. It said, it translated his speech and said that he's fighting for the Soviet territory again, that he wants the original Soviet territory. So if you look at this strategically on the map, the locations that he's trying to get, or let me rephrase, if you listen to what he says, liberating, and if you're talking to me, I'm going to tell you he's taking it. You get what I'm saying? He's taking back the areas that Russia once had.
It's very much like World War II, isn't it? Hey, we lost this in World War I, now we're taking it back. It's very similar.
That's exactly what I think he's trying to do. Is he's trying to get back all the territory that he used to have. You know what I mean? And then he's going to focus on the rest of the area.
Unbelievable. And like Putin, what is he? He's amongst the richest people in the world, isn't it? Not that he's made it. He's.
I don't know about that anymore, with the way that the whole globe is basically striking him down. I mean, Mal, it sounds like it's not a big deal, but when you're factoring in the global economy and how it all works, it is a very big deal.
Yeah.
That he's down to his nation's 3 top productions. Number 2 production is being fertilizer.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so what? Yeah, I'm sure we could find fertilizer in other nations. Like,
yep.
Do you get what I'm saying? He's down to his top 3 resources because financially everybody else is backing out and blacklisting him. Now, like I said before,
what about oil? Like, you guys buy a lot of oil from Russia. What does this not make everyone very mad with Joe Biden for stopping?
Are you kidding me? It's infuriating Americans right now. We're boiling at the pumps. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he's doing crazy things. He went to Venezuela to beg for oil this week. He's also going back to the Middle East to beg for oil.
Fuck, our memories are short, aren't they? I mean, it was just when Trump's last year where you were all energy independent, you were exporting energy.
Now, this brings me back to it. Exactly. Why is it that we have enough energy in my country to be fully energy efficient, but we'd rather go beg from other countries? The answer is,
isn't it? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in all my life. You would
think it's not
someone to assassinate Biden. You would think. I mean, God, what do I know? But
if you're in that mind state that he's in, it's not, because the way he's looking at it is this: the next world war is going to be over minerals. It's going to be over resources. It's going to be over minerals. This is why Ukraine is such a hot button right now. Ukraine is the second most richest in the globe for minerals and resources. That's what this whole war is really about.
Right. Well, it's certainly frightening, mate. If it didn't piss enough people off, that closing down those pipelines and people losing their job and that, to think here we are a year plus later and your gas prices are through the roof. I would have thought. Remember, it was only 2020 when you had all those riots and that, in all those. Hey, 78, heck, good to see you, sir.
Man, everybody's coming in. That's awesome.
But yeah, I so clearly I don't understand. I would have thought people would be absolutely fucking rioting in the streets.
You would think that we're getting close to it. California is posting videos of how they're now experiencing the Will Smith movie I Am Legend gas prices. So you could tell that, and I'm seeing even liberal celebrities are getting heated now at the gas pump. So it's gonna start affecting. The reason why Biden is avoiding opening up our own energy and all that is because of his green energy deals that he's trying to push. And because the next world war is going to be over minerals and resources. Why use up yours if you could beg for other people's?
Unbelievable. But when you think you rely upon the average person to vote for, or you used to, you used to have to win the vote before you could just steal it. To think in a matter of 12, 14 months, you go from where you were to where you are now, I just would not have believed that would have not caused riots. I mean, really.
The Democrats are sinking ship at this point. I mean, honestly, the next presidential election, I feel like, is going to swing in favor of majority conservatives. Now, saying that, it's still a sticky situation with all the new immigrants that we have coming in and all that. Conveniently, this war is also making people forget about a lot of other things, such as Fauci is ranked as the world's wealthiest doctor right now. Okay, he's trying to get a law passed right now to where it would be illegal for people to find out about people's financial investments and records.
Well, what was that thing I saw yesterday? It said Biden's asking Congress for $10 billion to go and help Ukraine.
Yes.
Strengthen up their border. Meanwhile, he has spent $6 million a day not building your border.
Exactly. Well, I mean, they're counterproductive in their arguments anyways, and they have been his whole administration thus so far. I mean, how can you have your people up there saying, on one hand, sending guns to the Ukrainian people is not like the same thing as taking away guns here, because we have actual gun violence here, unlike gun violence in the Ukraine. How could you say that as a sitting president with a straight face? It is like you don't have criminals in the Ukraine, and you don't have criminals in other countries with guns and gun violence.
It is an amazing.
They did make a lot of money, 78 Cloud, off of COVID. That was the whole point why I brought that up. The reason why they're trying to change the law is that they don't want people to find out about their financial investments that they've made. COVID has made a lot of people a lot of money. I mean, and they're no longer talking about the whistleblowers. Do you remember Project Veritas and all these other groups had all these whistleblowers, and everybody was talking about COVID documents and Pfizer documents and whistleblowers and leaks coming out about people's collapsed veins and artery problems and people dying from COVID injections? Has anybody heard about that lately? Because I sure haven't. Or very seldom. And that's another thing that this war is doing. It's distracting from things like that. It's distracting from the rest that's going on with different domestic terrorists that's ongoing. Today alone, I found 5 different articles about fentanyl trafficking that's going on our border, like you just said. You're not hearing about it because everybody's talking about Ukraine.
Yeah, well, it's like your government really was the last to acknowledge the UFO thing, and You know, no one was even listening because we're all talking about COVID and shit. It's
How
just
do you distract the mass people? How do you
Yeah.
distract the mass people? End COVID and start a war.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Now you got all the distraction you need. No one's talking about the Hunter Biden stuff going on. Nobody's talking about Whoopi's back on her show. I mean, everything.
Later, Tim.
Later, Tim.
Oh, well, Whoopi, I thought she'd really cooked her own goose for a while there. I thought maybe she'd be done.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing, that this is a perfect distraction. Everybody's talking about it because nobody knows if it's going to be World War III.
Now, what was the stupid thing she said too? What was it that silly Whoopi? It was like the silliest comment I'd ever heard. I can't even remember it now. Oh, that's right. She said that World War II, Hitler's treatment of the Jews was nothing to do with race or something like that, didn't she?
Yeah, it was something stupid. It was something stupid like that. Is about Jews.
Yeah, it was
in particular.
really,
It's anti-Semitic. It was viewed as very anti-Semitic.
And she said it so like, hey, listen, you know this, right? And what she said was just like, are you kidding? You're really going to say that?
I mean, honestly, on national television.
Yeah.
And she thought that she would get it passed, and she basically did. I mean, what? She got grounded sent to her room for a week.
And I'm surprised by that. I'm very, very surprised. I thought she would have been done for good for saying something like that. I just couldn't believe.
Now, I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Tonight, I'm about to post an article in a little bit about how one of the original Taliban people, like high-ranking terrorists, is just now recently been helped due to all the stuff going on and lessening on with Biden's crime bills and stuff, has now been let out, and instead of being released, is being mentally health evaluated. Okay, so he's being released into a mental health asylum.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So
let's help him out.
I'm sorry to tell you, like, there's all kinds of massive stuff going on. I think that we should be very focused on Russia and China. I think they are very real threats globally because Iran and Iraq are also on that agreement along with North Korea. Now, what that shows to me is if the World War III does happen, it's going to be those countries versus the world. Every single one of those countries are wealthy in their own right. You get what I'm saying? So that is a very real threat that you should pay attention to. Now, saying that, I don't think you should have your head in the sand about all the other issues either. You get what I'm saying? I find it interesting, and I know you hate this, Mal, and I already warned you about it prior a couple days ago, but I find it interesting. In my faith, we have a scripture, and it talks about the end times. And it says, do not be concerned with the events that has to be transpired, right? Have your head to the sky, meaning looking for the signs of the events and stuff that's going on, but don't be like overly consumed and anxiety about it, and don't have your head in the sand either. You get what I mean?
Well, you sort of see just naturally, mate. I've been focusing on going to work and doing the jobs and that. I can't keep up with this stuff all day long, or it would drive you mad. Or
it does. I mean, and honestly, like I said before, I haven't broken with what I said publicly. Like I was telling my pastor, I said, I'm very much somebody, if I say something, I try to hold up to what I say. And you'll see sporadic posts by me. And the reason why they're sporadic is I do take time to get away from it. I paid attention to it today because I planned on talking about it. Yeah. Different things that I've been hearing about, and I wanted to check for myself to see if it's actually going on. I want to say Sky News is doing a bang-up job on reporting what's going on Ukraine, on their side of it on the ground. they've been covering a lot of good stuff going on. I seen tonight.
Yeah, it's funny that Sky News, sometimes they are really doing a great job, and then other things they deliberately kind of avoid. Not everyone praises Sky News all the time, but they do seem to be the best of the worst, you know?
I think it's because it's the only Australian news I get. I get it
Oh,
on like I
mate,
get
outside of RV Yemeni, I wouldn't tell you to bother really watching any other.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like it's one of the news options I have. So I'll click on it and I'll click on different ones to see what's going on. But I was quick to point out everything I pointed out because I think it's crucial for us to understand that in wartime, there's propaganda on both sides. We
Sky
do
News,
need to. I do think that we do need to rally around Ukrainian people because I do think Russia's a very real threat. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's right to punish the citizens the way it is because potentially what could happen to the rest of us? Okay, so if they can wipe out everybody's like access to their finances there, right? And all their accounts. Mal, this is tech companies and big media companies doing this and big financial institutions and world banks doing this. That means
look
they
what's
could do
going
it to
on in
you. They
Canada.
could do it to me and anybody else.
Yeah, well, look at what happened in Canada with those truckers, and someone donates $50 to their cause, and they get their accounts freeze. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really shocking.
And I'm talking about the long term. We're talking about the long term implication. I hope we still have people with us in chat. Like I said, I can't see, but
Yeah.
long
7
term
here,
implication
Gus,
worries
here.
me.
Yep, there's 7 people here.
Okay,
Or
good.
so my thing says. This lies to me at times
Right.
because I see it go from like 7 to 2. Meanwhile, there's at least 4 people commenting, and then it'll pop back to 7. So the count really can't be trusted all the time.
Right. No doubt. I mean, and like I said, and this is really heated, and that's why I said you do got to stick around the Ukrainian people, but don't forget about the Russian people either. Don't punish the Russian people. I say rally around all the people really that's affected around that community, not just that one country. You get what I mean? There's other countries being affected as well. I mean, we got to remember that. You get what I'm saying? And that one instance when all these companies, I saw how it's affecting the Russian citizens financially, and they can't access their accounts all of a sudden overnight, and they have no access to anything. I'm like, and then they continue to pull out, and all these other companies, and they're saying we're doing it to punish Putin, and we're doing it to punish Russia, the Russian government. Yet you're also punishing everybody else in that country as well, and that means that you could do it to anybody else in any other country too. So what if another country ticks you off? Are you going to do it to them too?
Well, why not? There's no reason to think they wouldn't.
At what point are we going to hold these companies accountable? Like, at what point are we going to limit what they can do and who they can do it to? Because they're not just doing it to the Russian government and to the Russian leadership. They're doing it to the whole country and everybody in it. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think they should have accountability. Like, okay, we're going to restrict this and restrict that. And that's why I value Elon Musk so much, because what Musk is doing is the same way he's looking at the same way I am. He's like, I'm going to give I'm going to give these people, everybody around here, access to what I have, and access to the internet, and access to this and that. You get what I'm saying? But he could also limit. I think he should limit what that's another issue. I think he should limit too, because I don't know.
Am I right in saying, like, that Elon Musk, unlike a Bill Gates or that Zuckerberg, it doesn't seem anyone really has a good reason for not liking Elon Musk, whereas they do some of these other.
They do currently.
And why do they not like Elon Musk?
Because he's also backing Russia with satellites and access to his technology. He's giving them access to his satellites as well. He's even telling them to disguise it.
And would that be a first, mate? Is he generally a liked person? I know the other two I mentioned, be it Gates or Zuckerberg, they seem to have as many people or more people hate them than like him.
I think that he is liked, he's hated and liked.
Yeah.
And he's hated and liked for different reasons. Like, I like the guy because he's about the people.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? And he tends to like to F with bigger wigs.
Yeah, well, that's all I'm getting at. Not that I know a lot about him, but he's not someone that when you listen to him talk, I don't sort of sit there looking suspiciously like, oh, what are you up to?
You don't really get a bad vibe from him.
No, I don't. Whereas those other Bill Gates, I do.
He kind of reminds me of a real life version of Spark from Iron Man.
Yep.
With his personality trait of what he does to the wealthy, you know?
Yep.
And I mean, and you do got to look at it for an aspect. I think he should find a way to give the citizens of the country access to the internet, but not the government. I don't know if that's a thing, that technology. I'm not a scientist person or a techie person. I don't know if they could do that, but I think that should be something they should look at. I think that these powers and these companies have the brain power to do all this. Surely they got the brain power to figure out a way they can restrict the governments and not affect the people.
Funny you say that, because whether it was a couple of days ago, I read someone complaining about they wanted him to turn off all the Teslas in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
You heard that?
Yeah.
Like, is that a thing? Is it? Here, I'll just stop your car.
Yeah, it is.
Unbelievable.
And that's why you've seen me do so many things on my platform about artificial intelligence. And I'm talking about throughout the many years I've done this, I've hit artificial intelligence a lot on different episodes. And it's because it's a situation where I'm for technology and I'm also against it. I think that there should be a limit to what people do, because too much tech is going to be a bad thing.
Sure. Well, you tend to think if you pay all this money, you buy a car, and someone else can just stop you using it. I mean, that's bizarre.
Right. I mean, exactly. You're giving these people power over your life. Essentially.
That's crazy, isn't it?
And they do it willingly.
Like, I like the idea, especially while, in fact, I see all the kids riding those electric bikes, and with the price of bloody petrol at the moment, they even look more appealing.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I mean, and it's ridiculous right now what's going to happen. And that's why I said if they don't fix it here in America on our end with our industry and opening it up, it is going to cost them the election even more than what they already. And I don't know if they know that, and that's the reason why it seems like they're just doing like suicidal wild swings.
That seems to be the case, because see, like you say about your gas prices, I've told you before, we buy petrol in litres, and it's out now up to $1.99 a litre. It's nearly $2 a litre. Now, a gallon is 3.8 litres, so nearly 4. Mm-hmm. So when you guys are saying $6 and $7 a gallon, we're nearly 8 if you want to measure it that way.
Yeah.
And I just look, I can remember it was in my lifetime that when petrol hit $1 a litre, it was like, oh my God. Hey, Clarence,
they're talking about raising it daily here.
Yeah, well, that seems to be what's going on here too. Like I just said,
what's going on, O.T.T? How you doing?
I've never heard of $1.99. That's unbelievable, and I don't see it dropping a whole long way. Once it does come down, once they get that high, they don't tend to give you a break.
Well, I mean, they're making hands over fists money. These politicians across the globe, they have investments in these companies. Don't let them fool you. They have family members that have investments in these companies. You know what I mean? So while us, the citizens, are being affected, our politicians are not being affected. They're making money. You get what I'm saying? They're loving life right now. They're going on vacations. They're complaining about not being able to go on vacations. Meanwhile, we're having to like debate whether or not we're going to have to work 3 jobs just to be able to pay our mortgages. We're drawing like thinking that we're going to have to do carpools just to go to work. But our politicians, they're making hands over fists with all the medical investments that they've made, with all the oil investments that they've made, Dude, they're making hands over fist money right now. They're not tripping about nothing personally.
I just would have thought when it gets this ridiculous, like in this short a time, in an energy independence to 14 months later, highest.
Well, like I said earlier, it's a weak leader's move. But what he's doing is he's trying to reserve our reserve because the next war is going to be over minerals and resources. So he's figuring why use up our own? He'll go beg for somebody else's oil, make us pay the more money for it instead of using up our resources.
Yep.
Now it's stupid because it makes us look weak, and it makes us as citizens have to pay even more. But again, he's making money, so what does he care?
Yeah, well, again, I just wouldn't have thought people would stand for it. I thought they would have lost their minds long before now.
This is the thing that aggravates me as a citizen, is there's not enough people that hold these. It's like they're putting together part of the jigsaw puzzle, but they're not putting together the whole jigsaw puzzle. Like these politicians, like when they go to these global events and you're reading People magazine and OK magazine and whatever tabloid magazine you have over there too, you know what I mean? And you're seeing all these politicians going to these global black tie events where they're rubbing elbows with Obama, who's rubbing elbows with Sweden, who's rubbing elbows with this person. And they're doing all these little meetings at their tables and all this other stuff. They're not talking about us, the citizens. They're talking about what's going to benefit them and their nations and make them look good to their citizens, us.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a pimp, right? A pimp tells his hoes what they need to hear to do the dang job. No matter how filthy that job may be, you get what I'm saying? You just tell them what they need to hear to go do the job. That's essentially what our government is doing. They're basically treating us as citizens as their hoes.
Yeah, well, that's a very apt analogy. You're exactly right.
You get what I mean? And it's basically very socialist-like too. That's the reason why Trudeau is in hot water right now once again, because he got in hot water saying the whole globe basically has elected for socialism.
Right. He amazes me. I just can't get.
But is he wrong?
Well, that bank account shit he pulled. If you've donated to the truckers thing, I'm going to freeze your bank. Oh, here's Clarence. I'm going to freeze your bank accounts. How are you, good sir?
What's going on, OFG? How you doing?
All right, Mike. How you been?
I've been good. It's been a long time, man.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the stuff I've been saying? Mal?
I really missed a lot of it. I just now got there just a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, like I was just saying, like I think it was summed up with what Trudeau just said. When he said the whole globe has lightheartedly voted for total authority and rule, which is socialism. And I felt like I told Mal, like I asked him a very real question. Is he wrong for saying what he said? Because I think lightheartedly the naive people did. Do you get what I mean? Look what our own country's doing.
Well, all right. Let me throw a scenario at you. Because I'm way out there with my theories anyway. But just let entertain this thought for a second. What if Biden is a good guy that was installed by our military?
Are you talking about as a puppet fall guy?
Yeah.
I've heard of that theory in strategic books before.
Because you can't. There's no answer for how somebody could be that dumb and do this dumb stuff he's doing Like the first 2 days on the job, with a stroke of a pen, killed the Keystone Pipeline and 56,000 jobs.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Well, no, and that's what I was telling him earlier, is when he was like, why would he beg for when you guys' country was energy efficient before? I said the next world war is going to be over minerals and resources. He's a weak leader. What he's doing and the way he's looking at it is, why use our own resources if he can go beg for other people's resources, even if we, the citizens, have to suffer for doing it?
Okay, another scenario. What if Putin, Trump, Xi, Kim Jong-un, and the Saudi prince were all in this together?
See, I don't know about all those theories like that, because I've heard some of them.
You really got to wonder because, like you
Have
said,
you ever watched the video of Trump's world tour in 2017?
no,
I have not.
You really need to see that one,
I
because
have
the first place he went was Saudi Arabia, and there's a lot to that story, and it actually leads back to that shooting that happened in Las Vegas at that concert.
I remember that.
yeah.
Okay,
I
that
do remember
same
that.
night,
Ever,
that
wasn't it?
that same night, the Saudi prince was in that hotel,
Wow.
and our military saved him from being assassinated. That concert shooting was all of false flags, to get everybody's attention to look at it, and they tried to
So, I mean,
assassinate him.
here's the thing though. Like, I haven't been following Trump or bringing up Trump. I know that he's doing rallies, and I know that he's been supporting very much America First agenda candidates, which I have been supporting, the people that he's trying to get in place. I've heard that he's hinting at running again, and a lot of people feel like he might run again, but he hasn't
Nah, he
officially,
ain't gonna
from
run
what
again.
I know of any mainstream media source, actually stated for a fact that he's going to run.
I
He
tend
ain't
to
gonna
think,
run.
what do I know? But I can't believe he wouldn't. I think he'd. I don't think
He ain't gonna
he's.
run. He ain't gonna have to.
Yep.
He's going to be the first president that actually goes a full 10-year term. Instead of 8 years, he's going to get 10.
See, and I've heard that. I just don't know. I can't publicly say that for certainty, because again, like, I can only say what I see.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I see is what I stated. Like, I know he's supporting America First candidates. I know he's placing America First candidates in certain cities that they're talking about potentially can flip into the red. And that's why I told you earlier, Mal, that the only way that I see this going is a conservative wave in the next election. If it doesn't happen that way, there's going to be chaos, and when it does happen, there's going to be chaos. So it's going to be chaos either which way it happens.
This is going to end so fast, you ain't even gonna, it's going to make your head spin. It really is.
If that happens,
Well, all right. But what side are you on with the Ukraine deal?
On the Ukraine side, I say we need to support the people. I do. We need to support the people, but I
All right.
also say,
Let me reword that. What do you think of Putin?
on Putin's side of it, I find it intriguing that he is targeting the chemical lab locations, and
That was the first thing he hit. There was 11 of them, and there's actual footage showing the it is true neo-Nazis that are bombing the people and blaming it on Putin.
see, that I don't know about, because I got at my church, We
Are you
had,
you're still on Telegram, ain't you?
yeah, I'm still on Telegram.
I need to start sending you that stuff. It's because there's a lot of it coming out.
Right. I mean, I've seen some of it. And the reason why I'm going to say what I said is because there's people at my church that they have family and friends that's in the Ukraine. So I know what's going on is real. And a lot of the footage that you're seeing is going on. And like I told Mal, essentially what Putin is doing, he needs to be held accountable for war crimes for what he has done in Ukraine. Believe me, he does. And because what he's doing is, even if he's targeting these locations, right, for what they were, right, the way he's doing it is wrong. We both know that. We both
But
know
you
that.
know,
I know
you know
you're
the
a veteran. I
Ukraine.
know you were in the military, but we
No, I
both know
wasn't.
strategically you don't go into a location like that.
But you do realize that Ukraine is not a nation or a country.
How are they not a country whenever they have their own flag and everything?
They did not secure their borders in 1991 and signed the NATO pact.
Yeah, I knew they weren't part of NATO.
See,
Yep.
I wasn't 100%. I don't know everything about that part.
All that Ukraine is a cabal playground. And I think I did hear you mentioning that Nancy Pelosi's nephew or something is on a power company board. John
Yeah,
Kerry's
there's
son,
all kinds of
John Kerry.
Democratic
Yeah, but all
investments in Ukraine. It's also the epicenter for
Chuck
human
Schumer.
trafficking.
Yeah,
I was telling Mal how I find it interesting. Even today, I saw on mainstream news and how there's that bus with over 30 kids on it with two men driving it, and all they had to
yeah.
do was say that they're getting them out of the country because their parents wanted them to leave the country. And it's the
Yep.
epicenter for human trafficking. And you got to look at these players, Mal. Early on in our show, and you've been a part of it now, Mal, for a minute, where I've been talking about human trafficking. Ukraine is a big factor in human trafficking, and Soros and Rothschild. Rothschild's grandson just recently came out with a letter written to NATO on how he believes they need to help, and he'll provide help for Ukraine. All these families have ties to human trafficking as well.
Well, that's like what's his name, Lindsey Graham, calling for the Putin's assassination.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Was
on
it
live
Lindsey
TV.
Graham that did it? I knew there was a business person that put over a $2 billion
Yeah.
hit.
Lindsey Graham come right out and said that if there's anybody in Russia that has access to him, they need to take him out. And then the next day he was retracting that statement real quick.
I mean, and that's why I'm saying this war right now has so much false propaganda. How do you have a war? You have mainstream media that these people's jobs are to verify videos and verify resources. Now that's what they do for 8 hours a day, every single day, right?
The media.
How do they fall victim for video game footage? Not once, not twice, but we're talking reputable companies like NPR, BBC, CBS.
Well, when you got a freaking stormtrooper spacecraft on a highway, and it's on the news from Star Wars, with stormtroopers standing next to the son of a bitch, and they're putting this on the news. They're saying, this is Ukraine.
So much stuff has been going on. You don't know what's real and what's fake. You can ask anybody across the globe. Mal, I could go to Australia today and go hang out with you at some pub, and I guarantee you I could walk up to some bloke anywhere in that pub and be like, hey, what do you think about this shit going on? Do you think it's all on the up and up what the world is saying? What do you think that bloke's going to say?
He's going to laugh like it's crazy. It is.
Well,
like you can't believe everything.
The weird things I'm catching, the things that I'm watching for the most, because I always talk about that Nassar-Gassar deal, and that's where it's the global currency, global, currency change everything backed by silver and gold again.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So the whole world starts throwing all these fucking sanctions at Putin, you know, trying to collapse him. And he's
Yep.
laughing at him. You know why? He
He's got
just
gold.
bought a shit ton of gold.
Yep.
He just bought
I know,
a shit
but
ton of-
how is it that when there's reports that Russian citizens are being affected financially?
because they're in that transitional period right now. That's why they all ran to showed the ATM machines. There was 2 miles long lines, people standing waiting to get to an ATM.
Huh?
Well, it's gonna
Can you give me like 20? Give me 20.
it's gonna take a minute for
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bitch, I was made in America, landed it free. Down my feet before I live on my knees. Tell me this shit wasn't a part of the dream. Suppressing our speech is obscene. I've been praying in America, ain't taking my guns. Rigging election and able to run. The US of A make America great again. Flexible feelings I'm done. Hey. Hey. Bitch, I was made in America. Hey. Bitch, I was made in America. This ain't how we're supposed to be forcing a mask when I'm shopping for groceries. Mandating lockdowns to keep me from focusing on the big picture. Just look a little closely. Started with balancing that in the millions. Nobody required the media villain. President Trump is a racist, accountable friction. Now most of my neighbors are willing to think I'm a bigot, supporting supremacy. If I was black, considered a sellout. Talk about privilege, I ain't had a taste why these liberals pushing their agenda to bail out these Democrat cities who funded destruction. Created by lies that said it was Russian. That helped Mr. Trump get into the office. Millions was spent and still ain't find nothing. Now we got Biden, another Obama, increasing inflation and teaching my daughter her color, her skin's a descendant dishonor, and that just illuminates the light, so let's order. No matter her effort, a little bit bothered by shit that they teach and do think that it's awkward, that everything's biased. Democrats riot, call it a protest mistake, that it's called for an insurrection when the pubs do it. Step the worst thing since 9/11. Meanwhile, we got Sleepy Joe, drawing innocent people to find a method to veer away from our dead Americans left behind in a second. Reviving ISIS, funding violence at a time for silence. Bitch, I was made in America, landed it free. Down my feet before I live on my knees. Tell me this shit wasn't a part of the dream. Suppressing our speech is obscene. I've been praying in America, ain't taking my guns. Rigging election and able to run. The US of A make America great again. Flexible feelings I'm done. Hey. Hey. Bitch, I was made in America. Hey. Bitch, I was made in America. In a global pandemic that opened the border and threatened security, claiming the issue at hand is Republican racists. We now in a state of emergency. Police is hated, identification not needed when voting, now moving with urgency. Censoring truth and fact checking the proof will push climate change is the biggest of enemies. Tend to forget that we sit on the axis. I probably get banned, but just thinking Pangea ain't with the maddest political tactics to gather the ratings. Just look at the taxes or crime in the streets have been steadily rising. Patriots tired of waiting to fire the Pelosi and Biden, Kamala and tyrants like AOC making our country divided. Stating that people who won't take the jab are the reason America's failing. Handing out trillions, they planted the feelings, increasing the hatred. I pray for the children, our future, our hand is uncertain. Clowning the White House is barely observing. We globally laugh that they loving the circus. Backtracking faster with so much to lose, I still stand here with courage. The state what they scared to admit. Only distance I need is from socialism. Pushing propaganda to the blind sheep for they troll the system. Media fake woke to divide and conquer is their whole intent. And using race and religion to strip our amendments and all of his victims. Bitch, I was made in America, landed it free. Down my feet before I live on my knees. Tell me this shit wasn't a part of the dream. Suppressing our speech is obscene. I've been praying in America, ain't taking my guns. Rigging election and able to run. The US of A make America great again. Flexible feelings I'm done. Hey. Hey. Bitch, I was made in America. Hey. Bitch, I was made in America.
forced to live in mobile homes on reservations. Your people will wear cardigans and drink highballs. We will sell our bracelets by the roadsides. You will play golf and enjoy hot hors d'oeuvres. My people will have pain and degradation. Your people will have stick shifts. The gods of my tribe have spoken. They have said, do not trust the pilgrims. And for all these reasons, I've decided to scalp you and burn your village to the ground.
Treatment of American Indians today by the film industry, and on television in movie reruns, and also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
We'll take in the land which is rightfully ours. Years from now, my people will be forced to live in mobile homes on reservations. Your people will wear cardigans and drink highballs. We will sell our bracelets by the roadsides. You will play golf and enjoy hot hors d'oeuvres. My people will have pain and degradation. Your people will have stick shifts. The gods of my tribe have spoken. They have said, do not trust the pilgrims. And for all these reasons, I've decided to scalp you and burn your village to the ground.
Everything's being ruined. They don't care about people living on that land.
So a religious disaster, it's something, it's like genocide as something for Indian people. So
hundreds of indigenous women murdered or missing in Canada. A haunting national disgrace with no solution in sight.
How long has there been no water where you live?
For years. And all the springs, the spring water, they're dried out.
Sometimes they have to kill us. They have to kill us. Because they can't break our spirit.